Speaking with Dr. Brooke Weingarden. She's a psychiatrist over at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. Thank you for being with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast, and we're hoping that you can bring some calm and peace to our anxiety living lives right now on this Friday as we round out the week. Thank you for being with us, Doctor.
Thank you for having me. There is a lot of anxiety right now, and in so many ways. There's COVID anxiety, there's election anxiety, there is, season-changing anxiety. There's so much there right now. And I think that as the holidays are coming to close, November is usually a month of gratitude. And this has been a little more of a chaotic time. So I think that it's important, first of all, if you're hosting a holiday, to remember that we're still in the middle of this pandemic. Our numbers are rising, so we're keeping it small. And so I think that is going to be a good thing for us, especially right now when not everybody's on the same page as far as this election. A lot of people, really the country is divided, and that can bring up a lot more anxiety, and that can make a meal a little more uncomfortable. So I think that there needs to be boundaries. Saying that no politics at the table. These are things that we're not discussing. We are here because we're a family. We're here together. We're keeping it small because we want to be safe. These are just not things that we're talking about. And there are some family members that will appreciate this wholeheartedly, and there are some people that may decide not to come, and that's okay. I think that this needs to be a protected time for families to be together in a safe way and to enjoy each other's company without stressing each other out. And politics right now is the number one thing that's going to stress everybody out. That is going to be something that it should be eliminated at talk at the table. I think we just keep that away. And if you're hosting, you get to set those boundaries. You get to make those rules. And I think that's really important that you do. And if somebody's not comfortable with that, then they can choose to go somewhere else. And that's okay. We're doing Zoom, Thanksgivings and Zoom holidays, and finding ways of connecting as long as it's a way that's going to make you feel good and be able to appreciate Thanksgiving and the other holidays that will be coming up.
So, and Doctor, and knowing that, you put these parameters in place going in to the dinner or into the meeting, but yet sometimes people tend to sway back to their habits or their conversation. How can someone redirect the conversation without it ending up into a full-fledged fight?
Ultimately, you do the best that you can, and whatever you're going to do is going to be the best that you can do in a kind way. We are trying to veer the conversation, sometimes a gentle reminder of, we're going to table this conversation for now. If you'd like to talk about it at another time, maybe. This isn't the place. And if somebody, and maybe letting people know ahead of time, we're leaving politics out of dinner, and if it's brought up, we're going to remind you that, so that it's not a surprise. We're not talking about this. We're here because we're family. And if we're anticipating difficulty, that's okay. It's better to keep our dinner small. Again, we're in a pandemic. So I think just, changing the subject, gentle reminders. This is a time where people get very heated, and sometimes you can't always avoid those things, but we really just have to do the best that we can. And I think sometimes in the best of circumstances, some family dinners can be a little bit provoking in general. So, it's just a dinner. It's just a short period of time. We're going to get through it as best as we can and try our best to enjoy it. But again, trying to just put that out there at the beginning and say, these are my boundaries. This is what we're comfortable with. We're not going to go there as a conversation topic, because it's not going to make it a nice dinner. We want to enjoy your company, and let's try to do that.
I like to have that deck of conversation starters. And there are some fun ones out there too. And so when things start to go a little bit off the rails, just pull a card and bring up a different topic.
I think that's great. I think that's a really great way to do it. And you can even Google fun or silly, holiday conversation topics. Those are always really fun. Make it into a game. We're going to do this as a family. There's, possibly there's kids, and there's, lots of different age ranges. And so we want to keep this as a family show, And so I think that cards of topics of conversation are great. Having the kids put on a show or, a play or, finding ways to include everybody. And, oftentimes, as you hear in the conversation, it's not so inclusive anyways.
Dr. Brooke Weingarden with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast. She's a psychiatrist over at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. Stress and anxiety is real, even more so now than ever before, and it tends to keep getting compounded because, think back to March. We thought this was going to be 2 weeks, 2 months. Now we're 7 months into this. Kids are having to go back to remote learning. Parents are still trying to struggle with their schedules and balancing work and paying the bills. How can people, address their anxiety and their stress in a real way to get them through the next however many months and not just bottle it deep down inside?
So that's a really important question, because what I'm seeing right now are more people struggling than I've probably ever seen in my career. This is a really tough time, and first and foremost, it's important to acknowledge that, and that if people are struggling, it's okay. Normalizing the fact that everybody is really having a hard time with this. The isolation, the stressors, just not knowing when this is going to end. This is very Groundhog Day-like. And so I think that, first of all, normalizing that everybody is really struggling is important. But then what do we do about it? I think it's really important to stay connected to peers in a safe way, whether it's virtually or whether it's outside and social distance. And we live in Michigan. When it gets cold, you can bundle up and go outside. We play outside in all temperatures. We can do this. I think it's important to stay connected. It's important to stay active. Making sure you have a good sleep and eating schedule is vital, because having that routine is going to remind you that this isn't one giant year-long day, as much as it feels that way. Making sure that you are getting exercise and staying outside and moving your body and seeing that there's a change of scenery that's not just the walls of your home is really important, because it feels very much like everybody is in their boxes and everybody is very isolated from one another. And that's really difficult. So I think it's important, and I remind my patients every day to stay connected and stay active and find little interesting, creative things to do. And at the same time, is if you're really, truly still struggling and you need extra help, don't ever hesitate to ask. Talk to a school counselor, talk to a friend, talk to a psychologist or a social worker. Come see a psychiatrist if that's something that would be helpful for you. Because everybody is in this right now. Everybody is needing things, and ever put yourself behind, make sure that if that's something that you're needing, that you're okay with asking for it, because that's why we're here.
Dr. Brooke Weingarden with us. She is the psychiatrist at the Birmingham Maple Clinic, joining us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Dr. Weingarden, there's so much that is going on and causing stressors or causing anxieties for people, whether it be the presidential election, whether it be the upcoming holidays, or COVID-19 dragging on, work stresses, just the general stresses of life that come and go on any given week, any given month, any given year in any person's life. With all these things compounding right now, as it seems that they are for so many people, what do you advise your patients and just the general public and how to deal with all these compounding issues as they're happening simultaneously without overloading yourself in trying to navigate all these issues and your own personal situation as well?
So I think, we can't always do it ourselves. I tell my patients it's important to have support. And if you don't have support, find a way of getting it, whether it's a therapist or a psychiatrist or a friend. We don't have to do this alone. This is a lot. And I think, again, acknowledging that it's a lot and recognizing that this is something we've never experienced before. So self-care is huge, taking care of ourselves, doing what we need to be able to get through this. Because again, this is uncharted territory for pretty much all of us. And this is more than many people have ever had to deal with. And so taking care of our physical health, our mental health, doing things that are relaxing and nourishing and stimulating and making us feel good, I think, and connecting with other people is a really helpful way of recognizing that we're not alone in this.
So, and Doctor, depression is very real. And when someone feels like they're starting to go down that rabbit hole, What advice do you have for them to be able to try to shift their mindset and snap out of it? And I know it's not that easy, but are there some things an individual can do so that they can, if they feel depression coming on, they can move into a different direction?
So it really depends on the type of depression that someone's experiencing, and it depends on their family history. And there's lots of things that are involved in how susceptible someone is to the severity of their depression. But when you're having difficulty, when you're feeling depressed, first and foremost, if it really is to the point where you're spiraling and it's that bad, definitely reach out for professional help. If you're sort of going down a slope and you're recognizing it and you're trying to just sort of change the trajectory, again, making sure that as much as you feel that you want to just be alone in a dark room, you have to talk to that inner voice and say, no, that's not what we're doing. Finding a way of having social connections and changing your environment and exercise. Those are all things that are going to increase your dopamine levels in your system, which can help to increase your mood. If there are certain things that are enjoyable to you, whether it's baking or dancing or walking or biking, whatever it may be, trying to engage in some of those activities is going to be helpful. And again, making sure that you're taking care of your sleep hygiene and you're eating properly. And if those things are still not working, remembering that it's important to reach out if that's something that's spiraling, because it may only continue to go down that hole. And sometimes, whether it be working with a therapist, doing some cognitive behavioral therapy or some supportive therapy, that may be what you need, is someone else to guide you, or it may be something that needs a little bit of medical support as well. And all of those things are okay.
So, and Doctor, when should someone know that they're just going through a depression or stress or anxiety because of all this craziness we're going through right now in the world? When should they know it's time to actually seek help?
So some of the main symptoms of depression include, if there are activities that you enjoy, things that you like, things that you normally would enjoy doing, not enjoying those things or not having interest in things that may have given you joy, feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, feelings of guilt, sometimes having dark and scary thoughts or self-harm, feeling sad, crying often, sometimes not having any emotion at all, mood swings, sometimes anger, increased anxiety, sleep difficulty concentrating. You may see this, changing in your work schedule or in your schooling and having difficulty staying on top of tasks, not able to engage as well with others. And it doesn't have to be all of those things, but if you're noticing more and more of those types of symptoms, it may be a good idea even just to reach out to your primary care physician. Or if you have a therapist, reaching out to them. There's nothing wrong at any point in time with having that little bit of extra support. And honestly, we don't know how long this is going to be going on for. So I tell everybody, even if you're having a little bit of symptoms, start with a therapist, start with somebody just to process all of this, because maybe we all need to be doing that. This is a lot, and it's important to be able to have somebody to bounce that off of and to be able to make sure, I'm okay with this. And maybe I'm not okay, but if I'm not okay, somebody can help me be okay.
Well, we so appreciate your time and your advice as well, because there are a lot of people that are struggling right now. And hopefully one thing that is going to come out of the COVID-19 crisis is we are lifting the veil off of mental health and starting to have serious conversations, and people need to understand that it is okay to reach out and to ask for help. Dr. Brooke Weingarden with us. She is a psychiatrist over at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. If you feel like you need to speak to someone, please do not be too proud. It is okay to ask for help. So thank you so much for your time.